right, so good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our second last official broadcast of the school year. My last one as host, so I just want to say on a personal note, it has been such an immense pleasure and privilege to get to join you through all these Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants broadcasts. I think I hosted about 300 this year, so whether I've seen you live on YouTube, chatted with you via email, it is the pleasure of a lifetime. Thank you so much for continuing to join us as we showcase and celebrate amazing scientists, explorers, and facilities around the globe. Your passion as students is just palpable. It's amazing. I know it's been the strangest year to be a teacher of all time, and so I just really appreciate all your efforts and excitement for all that we do. Joe put out a newsletter the other day with a link where you guys can highlight some of your stories, experiences, pictures, tell us what we can do better, tell us great things that we can bring in future broadcasts. So please do check out that survey in our newsletter. It'll really help us going forward, making a really special year for you guys in 2021, 2022. So hopefully you get that chance. For today's program, I could not be happier than to be joined again by the Toucan Rescue Ranch. They're one of my favorite partners we bring on these broadcasts. They do such incredible work to rescue, rehabilitate, and re-release injured wildlife, and they've got some of the coolest and most amazing and beautiful and cute creatures on this planet. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the team there. They are going to blow your minds for 20 minutes or so, and then we're going to dive in with Q&A like we always do. I look so very forward to hearing all your queries and enthusiasm. So Toucan Rescue Ranch, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and take us away.
Hi, everybody. I hope everybody is doing wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Stephanie. I'm a tropical biologist and a tour guide here at Toucan Rescue Ranch. So for the next minutes, we're going to see some of the animals that we help out here at Toucan Rescue Ranch. We're going to start with one of my favorites, which are the sloths. We'll be talking a little bit about the program that we use to be able to rehabilitate and rewild as many sloths back into the wild as possible. Then we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the animals that we have. We have some amazing animals, like, for example, owls, macaws, toucans, monkeys, and Emma the otter. So depending on your interest, we can see a little bit more. If you want to focus on some animals, then we can do that also, okay? So guys, as Jesse mentioned, here at Toucan Rescue Ranch, our main mission here is to rehabilitate every single animal that we can. A lot of the animals come here injured for different reasons, and some are confiscated from illegal petry. But the fact is that what we do here is try to rewild, get into the wild as many animals as we possibly can. Some of the animals that you are going to see are permanent residents who cannot be rewilded for various reasons that we will be talking about. So what I'm going to do right now is
oh, the same thing happened last time. 2 days ago, we had the exact same thing. The old camera switcheroo is fraught with danger, I find. We're going to wait for Stephanie to join us again. She pressed the button that deleted the whole thing. StreamYard, sometimes it's a little tricky. Well, while she's gone, I'm going to bring up on our banner here, toucanrescueranch.org. If you joined us for any of their programs before, great. If this is your first time joining us, they will be back, and we'll actually get to see all these baby sloths. We just wanted to build up the anticipation for you today. But they do such incredible work. You can check out it all at toucanrescueranch.org. Amidst COVID, one of the big questions we've been getting is how do conservation organizations do a really good job amidst the pandemic? And the answer is that it's been really tricky. It's really tricky to raise funds when you can't have people come in and visit your site when you're a place like the Toucan Rescue Ranch. And so contributions and enthusiasm from classes like yours has made a world of difference for groups like theirs. So do check out their website. They've got all sorts of really neat stuff going on. And hopefully we can get them back in the next minute or so. See, my last broadcast, something had to go wrong. I've been on such a good lucky streak for a while there that it keeps me on my toes. Toucan Rescue. What else? While we're waiting for them to join us again, hopefully very soon, do check out our last event that's being hosted tomorrow with Joe. We're joined at 9 Eastern time in the Seychelles on the Aldabra Atoll with turtles. It's one of the coolest, most unique places on this planet, so hopefully you guys get the chance to check that out. I'm going to disappear for just a few seconds. I'm going to hopefully send a quick email to some folks, see if we can get them back in lickety-split, and I'll be right back. And if not, I've got a backup presentation for you guys, which is not ideal, but it will be something kind of fun if we don't. There they are, though. I don't don't need to send any emails. That's even better. Welcome back.
I'm having some technical issues here. I want to change the view of my camera. I'm not really sure how.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, worst case, if the screen sharing button or the screen switching button doesn't work, you can just turn your camera around. I know it's a little tricky to go that way, but you can try it if it works.
Let me see. I've never used StreamYard before. Just give me a second here.
Okay. So now you've got your camera off. If you just turn your phone around, then we'll see whatever the camera's pointing. Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's do it this way then. Okay, guys. So we're gonna start off talking a little bit about sloths. Here, what you see is a group of baby sloths. Now, to talk a little bit in general about sloths, sloths are tree dwellers that are perfectly adapted to living most of their lives hanging on trees. So they have these really big nails that you can see, retractor muscles, and various adaptations that allow them to thrive on the trees. Now, it turns out that sloths' main food source is leaves. A lot of people tend to think that sloths are extremely slow, and it's not that they're slow per se. It's that these animals eat a food source. Their main food source is leaves, and therefore they don't have that much energy to move around. They're economical about their energy, but when they want to be fast, they actually can be really fast. It turns out that sloths, when you put them on the ground, they don't do very well. It actually turns out that because they don't have as many abductor muscles as we have, they get really tired, and they are pretty slow when they are moving on the ground. The sloths that are here, guys, we do not breed any sloths. These are all orphans that came here for different reasons. All the sloths that you see right here, this bundle of 1, 2, 3, 4 sloths bundled up together, are all two-finger sloths. There are 2 species of sloths in Costa Rica. There is the two-finger sloth that you're looking at, and we do have a 3-finger sloth, who's actually not where he's supposed to be, but let me show you. Here we have Muffin. Muffin is being a little bit greedy, and he's having a dig at the leaves that are freshly picked. So we have 2 3-finger sloths. Just gonna move this a little bit so you can see Muffin's face. This is Muffin. He is a 3-finger sloth. And we have another 3-finger sloth, Tamalito. Say hi, Muffin. Hi. You're not supposed to be there, are you? And so we have another 3-finger sloth who is inside. Now, to explain why we have so many orphan sloths here at Toucan Rescue Ranch, it turns out, guys, that we actually receive a lot of them because their mothers were electrocuted or ran over by cars. When sloths need to move to different areas, very, very often it happens that they either have to go down, cross the street, the mothers can get hit by cars, or another thing that tends to happen is that very often sloths use the power lines to move around. So when this happens, the mother who's carrying these babies on their backs, well, it turns on their stomachs, I'm sorry, they get the full electric discharge, but the babies quite often survive. So our main goal here is to try to give these baby orphans an opportunity to return to the wild. One of the things that we do is try to handle them as little as possible. We make sure that they are forced to look for their own leaves. They're forced to practice their climbing skills. This is like a little sloth jungle gym that you see right here. And they go through different stages: school, middle school, high school. When they're like 1.5 years, they go to a release site we have in the area of Sarapiqui, and there what we do is that we put radio collars on them to make sure that when they're rewilded, they're successfully rewilded back into the trees. Now, guys, Jesse, should I leave for the questions for later, right?
Yeah, so let's go around and we'll highlight a little bit of everything, and then we'll do a big question period at the end. And if anyone wants to see anything else, or if you want to walk us back, you're welcome to do that.
Absolutely. Now, guys, I'd like to show you some of the other animals that we have here at Toucan Rescue Ranch. There are quite a lot of them. We have total more than 360 animals, but here we're going to see part of the permanent residents that we have at Toucan Rescue Ranch. One of the animals that we started helping from the onset of Toucan Rescue Ranch were actually owls. So allow me just a second to show you some of the owls that we have here at Toucan Rescue Ranch.
Stephanie, you hit the mute button.
So,
Come back, there we go.
Yes, sorry. We have some maintenance going on. Ooh. So guys, this is where we keep our owls. Here we have what we call spectacle owls. And Jesse, since I have the selfie screen on, can you see those owls okay?
You can see them, yeah. They've got the big yellow chests and the black heads. They're beautiful. They're all on the right of your screen.
Wonderful, guys. So these are what we call spectacle owls. They are the biggest species of owls in Costa Rica. We have around 12 different types of owls, and it is very fascinating to work with these animals because they have all these amazing adaptations to be able to hunt at night. To give you some examples of a really interesting type of feather, soft feathers that allow these animals to be able to fly without making any sounds. They also have a circle structure around their face that allow them to bring the sounds or in their surroundings towards their ears, who quite often have ear-like structures, a little bit like humans beneath the feathers. And one of the cool things they have is that they can turn their necks to 170 degrees. Now, why are some of these owls here? Some of the owls that are here came here because very often owls get tangled in these double-bladed barbed wires that you see around fences. And when this happens, owls can get lesions in their wings. They can lose an eye. And also, very often they lose the ability to fly. Another thing that tends to happen with owls is that they can actually, what happens with them is false rescues, which means that very often people that rescue, according to them, these owls, well, unfortunately, they don't realize that their mother is actually around, when they see an owl in the ground, they take it to a rescue center without knowing that actually they're harming the animal instead of helping it out, which is quite unfortunate because people mean well, but they don't realize that when a baby owl is on the ground, if there isn't any harm, it's better to let it be. So sometimes when these owls come here when they're really young, unfortunately, if they don't show its instincts that they do know how to hunt and fend for themselves, unfortunately, we might not be able to rewild them. Okay, guys, now, let's go ahead and take a look at, let's go take a look at the macaws. So, one of the most popular animals that people tend to keep as pets are quite often parrots. And probably one of the most popular pets that people have had as pets very often are, of course, macaws. So macaws are basically huge parrots. And it turns out that we have two species of macaws in Costa Rica. We have the great green macaw and we have scarlet macaws. So the macaw that you're seeing right now is the great green macaw. Macaws are such popular pets because of their beautiful colors. And towards the other side, you can also see a red macaw. But one of the main reasons why people tend to keep them as pets is because these animals are monogamous. They're social animals. And if they do not have, say, a partner, another macaw to socialize with, well, quite often what is going to happen is that they're going to see the human as their partner. And that is why they bond so well with humans. Also, they have the ability of imitating human speech. But guess what? Because of this, unfortunately, some of these species are in the brink of extinction. Like, for example, the great green macaw that you're seeing right now. We also have scarlet macaws in Costa Rica, and there's one right over there. Scarlet macaws are not in danger of extinction per se. However, they actually have been protected because before in Costa Rica, they're very common, widespread, and now they have disappeared of a very big part of their distribution range. To a certain extent due to illegal pet trade, but also due to the fact that they have lost a big part of their habitat, which is really, really unfortunate. Uh, so all of these animals have been pets for such a long time that unfortunately they do not know how to look for food. They do not know how to fend for themselves. And if they were to be put back into nature, they would probably die. They'd probably go towards the first human they were to see. So of course, these are animals that become permanent residents. We cannot rewild them. Now, guys, I would like to show you the animal that actually started the idea for the founder, Leslie, to begin Toucan Rescue Ranch. We are called Toucan Rescue Ranch, of course, because Leslie wanted to specialize in helping animals like toucans. I'm going to show you my favorite species of toucan. This toucan over here is Scooby. Scooby is a fiery-billed aracari. He's super friendly, also kept as a pet for a very long time. We have in total 6 species of toucans in Costa Rica. This species is Pteroglossus torquatus. There is another one that is very closely related to aracari, to this type of aracari, which is the collared aracari. That is right here. It's a little bit dark, but can you see it okay, Jesse?
Yeah, it's great. I love these.
So these 2 species of toucans are actually social. They live in groups. Sometimes what happens with toucans, it's either that they're taken in to be pets, or sometimes what happens with toucans is that their homes get cut down. Basically, what tends to happen is that since toucans make their nests in trees, when people cut down trees, they don't realize that there is a nest of a toucan in there. And when they realize this, well, it's already too late. Of course, if the tree gets cut down, the parents are going to abandon the eggs. But here at Toucan Rescue Ranch, we have special incubators. Even if they bring us eggs, we can make them hatch and make sure that these animals become adults. Sometimes we're not able to rewild them in these cases if, again, they don't show wild instincts. Let me show you 2 other species that we have here at Toucan Rescue Ranch. So, hold on. Over here, we have a rainbow-billed toucan. Now, this is probably the most common species that people tend to keep as a pet in captivity. And of course, the reason is that it has amazing, beautiful colors on its bill. And very often, people that keep these animals as pets, they don't really know much about them. One of the things that people tend to think is that toucans eat fruit. I guess a lot of people have seen way too many Fruit Loops commercials, and that is their belief. And quite often, toucans that come here that have been kept as pets for a very long time have nutritional deficiencies because they only get fed fruit. What people don't realize is that one of the roles that toucans have in the wild is actually being nest predators, meaning that they raid the nests of other birds, they eat the eggs, the hatchlings, and they can eat a whole variety of other animals. So they're omnivores. They cannot only eat fruit. They need sources of protein, or else they can actually get sick. And this is part of the things we specialize in, making sure that these birds, once they come here, they get the right diet, that they are put in enclosures that are appropriate for them. Let me show you one other species of toucan that we have right here. So this toucan over here is the chestnut-billed or yellow-throated toucan. This is the biggest species of toucan that we have in Costa Rica. Again, another very popular pet, and ecologically they're very similar. But one of the main difference between these toucans and these two that I just showed you is that these guys do not live in groups. They are actually solitary birds. Only when the mother and the father are going to breed babies, then do they actually get together to do this. And once the babies are all grown up, then these animals are actually going to return to be solitary again. Which is, again, something that some people are not actually aware of. Now, guys, let me show you another animal that is very interesting here at Toucan Rescue Ranch. Over here, we have a group of monkeys. So these are spider monkeys, and it might be a little bit dark. Let me see if maybe we can see Samba better.
Oh, there's one on the left there. We can see
there
him.
You go.
Oh, hey.
There we go. So over there, that's Samba. Samba is a spider monkey. Spider monkeys are one of the most acrobatic monkeys that we have in Costa Rica. And it turns out that they're called spider monkeys because they have these long arms, long legs, and they are basically always looking for their favorite food, which is basically nice ripe fruit. They're what we call frugivores, meaning that they specialize in eating fruit. They can eat other things, like, for example, leaves, insects, but they're constantly moving around in the forest looking for fruit. And they're actually very, very important in the forest because when these animals eat that fruit, they basically spread the fruit all over they swallow the seeds and spread those seeds in their poop all over the forest. We have 4 spider monkeys here, guys, and it turns out that all of them, at a certain point, were somebody's pet. It might seem amazing to some people that in these days, people actually have monkeys as pets, but it is actually something that used to be quite common in Costa Rica. We have Izzy, who was tied to a tree when she was just a baby. We have Samba, who is that monkey that is moving really fast all over, also kept as a pet. And we have in another enclosure over there, Jazz, who, unfortunately, guys, believe it or not, he was actually kept by a drug dealer as a pet in a bunker where he was drugged for fun. He's missing some fingers out of his hands and feet. And because of this traumatic experience that he had as a baby, well, it turns out that he is really aggressive. And he therefore, let me show you Jazz. He's eating some fruit right now. And therefore, he is, of course, not a candidate for release, but also, unfortunately, very aggressive, even to other monkeys. He had such a traumatic experience as a baby that now he needs to be kept in a separate enclosure. We have the hopes that eventually he will be able to settle down and socialize with the other monkeys, because it turns out that monkeys are social animals. And if they are by themselves, they can get really depressed. So hopefully, eventually, we will be able to reunite Jazz with the other monkeys that are here at Toucan Rescue Ranch. Yeah. And this is Jazz. He's a little rascal. If you give him the opportunity, he might try to grab the phone. They're also extremely smart primates. One of the smartest primates in the world, actually.
Cool. Very cool, Stephanie. This has been such a tour and really a chance to highlight some of the challenges that some of these animals face. Certainly the comments on YouTube reflect that this is, these are not happy stories. It's difficult, some of the situations you get animals in, but it really highlights and underscores the work that you guys do to protect them in such a meaningful way. So thank you so much for that. And if it's okay with you, what we can do is dive in with questions. And if they lead to anything, if you want to show us anything else, we've got 20 minutes, so lots of time together, and go from there.
All righty. Let's do it.
Well, a huge welcome into all our folks tuning in on YouTube. 240 people in groups right now, so they're all over North America, well over 500 kids today, which is really, really exciting. I want to do a special shout out before we begin. We had a teacher reach out to say that Dominic at Chris Hadfield Public School is really keen on wildlife, really keen on today's presentation. And so special hello to Dominic at home. It's always nice to feature students that are really keen on wildlife and wild creatures. So way to go, man. I want to dive in with a question. So Mr. McCleary has joined us for like 100 broadcasts this year. I swear, there's never a time in the chat that Mr. McCleary isn't there. But I haven't had him in a broadcast live yet, so we want to unmute his mic and bring him in for a first question with us. Welcome in, Mr. McCleary, and kick us off when you got that.
Here we go. Jesse, it's great to be here, and thank you so much for another great tour. My grade 3-4 students had a couple of questions about toucans. What was it? Oh, they wanted to know why they have the big bill. Like, what's the purpose of the big bill, and how long do they live?
Those are great questions, guys. So that big bill has several functions. One of the functions is, of course, eating, defending themselves. It is a serrated bill, which means that they actually can do quite a lot of damage. They can actually defend themselves. And one of the other things that the bill is used for, believe it or not, is thermoregulation. So inside the bill, you will find a whole network of blood vessels all over the inside of the bill. So what toucans use the bill for, one of the main functions, is that if they're really hot, which tends to happen quite often in these tropical regions, they'll pump a lot of blood over to the bill. They'll look for a nice air current that is nice and cool, and they'll open up the bill. So other animals, dogs, other mammals, they cannot sweat the way we do. So they pant or they use different strategies to cool down. So it does serve several functions. Defending themselves, eating, they can grab an egg, crush it, and swallow it whole, grab big chunks of food, but also thermoregulation.
Very, very cool. And by the way, Mr. McCleary, I love these stuffed animal prop. Well done keeping that on screen for the opportune moment. That was very cool. Miss Y's class, you guys don't have your devices attached. So you should. Oh, go ahead, Stephanie.
Sorry, and I forgot. You also asked how long toucans live, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sorry about that. So it depends on the species. In captivity, some species, smaller species live around 15 years. Some of the bigger species, like for example, the chestnut mandible toucan that we have over here, can live up to 30 years in captivity.
Fantastic. Thanks for getting that in. I'd forgotten as well, so I appreciate it. Ms. Loisel, I'm going to come to you next. Ms. Y, your devices aren't connected, so if you want to share questions in the chat, please do, and I'll come to you there. But Ms. Loisel, come on in and take us away.
One of my students wants to know the lifespan of a sloth.
Okay, that's a great question. So, sloths, it turns out that there are different species. In captivity, sloths usually don't live longer than 20 years, roughly. I'm talking in general terms because depending on the species, that might have a bit of a variation. But in captivity, two-finger sloths usually live around 30 years, 35 in some cases. Now, I recently heard about the record of a sloth in the zoo that had lived for the longest time. It's a sloth in Japan that has lived 50 years, but that is really extraordinary. Sloths usually don't live that long.
Very, very cool. I like animal longevity questions. Earlier in the week, we had the Toronto Zoo on. It's one of the big questions you get, captivity versus the wild. Typically, when animals are really well cared for, they can live longer in captivity than the wild. It really depends on the species. So glad when we get those questions. Miss Hill's class, come on in, guys. Just unmute your mic. In fact, all our teachers can unmute their mics, keep them that way the whole broadcast. It'll make it easier for Q&A. But come on in, Miss Hill.
Okay, hi. Thank you so much for having us. We love these events. So one of my students had a question, just wondering about how many adult and baby sloths you have there. And then also just wondering how long does it actually take to rehabilitate the baby sloths? Like how long would they typically need to be with their mothers in the wild versus in captivity now? Like how long would it take you guys to rehabilitate them to get back into the wild?
Yes, that is a great question. So let's start with the first question, how many sloths we have total. to be quite honest, it's really hard to keep track of how many total sloths we have because we get sloths here on a weekly basis. Sometimes we rewild the ones that have already been rehabilitated and are good to go back into the wild. In the cases when it's an adult that has been injured, as soon as they're better, because they are wild creatures, we can rehabilitate them right away as soon as they're in good health and as soon as they're rehabilitated. Now, for the cases of sloths that have actually come here as babies, guys, it's a really long process, let me tell you. It turns out that, let me head over to the sloth elementary part. When these babies come here, it can take up to a year and a half for us to be able to get them into the wild. Why? Because we basically need to wait for the babies to, first off, wean them from the milk that they drink. Second off, we need to be able to make sure that they can defend themselves. And sloths become adults when they are a year and a half to 2 years. So in total, guys, this process takes about 2 years until we can actually take off the radio collar, and the sloth has proven us that they will feed themselves, that they will defend themselves and not look for humans. So it's quite a long process.
Yeah, I always love when we get to hear about the dedication and perseverance that's involved in the rehabilitation of animals. We dealt with this at the Turtle Hospital in Florida as well. It's not something where they come in and it's a week later they go out. Often it takes this level of dedication. And so, great question. It highlights the work that you guys do, the effort of your staff. And so we've had a chance to feature so many stories from the Rescue Ranch over the last year that it's been really, really special. If people want to check those out on our YouTube channel as well.
And guys, just to give you a rough number about how many sloths we actually have right now, only here at the Sloth Elementary, we have like 8 babies. On the other side, we have around 10 more. We have 6 permanent residents, and in the clinic, it comes and goes. So an estimate number would be around 40 to 50 sloths.
That's an incredible amount of wildlife. It's nice to see that you've got people there in the background. Looks like people coming and checking. That's so nice. Look at the end of the tunnel. Miss Wise Class, they shared their question in the chat bar. Leona wants to know what the monkeys eat there.
Okay, that's a great question. So, as I mentioned, monkeys are frugivores. That is, that they specialize or they rather eat fruit. So most of what we give these monkeys are fruit. But due to the fact that we need to complement their diet and make sure that, for example, they do get a little protein, they do get some fiber, we also, for example, will give them green beans with carrots, cooked, of course. I know this is not something they would eat in the wild, but we need to make sure that all their nutritional all the nutritional part is well covered, because we cannot give them some of the things that they would eat in the wild. In the wild, a monkey, to give you an example, particularly spider monkeys, they love eating the fruits of some palm trees. And they're one of the only monkeys that can access these types of fruit, because a lot of the palm trees here in the tropical regions have so many spines. And thanks to the fact that monkeys have these prehensile tails, well, fortunately for them, they're actually able to hang themselves from the branches and be able to access fruits like palm fruits, which quite often can be superfoods that have all the nutritional requirements that they have. They have fiber, vitamins, they have some fat. So here, since we don't have access to all the variety of fruit that they would eat in the wild, we complement their diet with fruits and different types of vegetables, and some that do have a lot of nutrients.
I had a cheeseburger for dinner yesterday, and I'm feeling very guilty now. I don't know, this is quite the diet. It's fantastic. You were going to add, sorry.
Yes, I was going to show you. This is Noelia. Noelia was actually sleeping in her little bed that she has. She doesn't have a tail because her owner cut it off. But there you can see, guys, she's having a mango. And one of the interesting things also about spider monkeys is that they are very picky eaters. If the fruit that they're going to eat is not ripe enough, well, they will take a bite and they will basically throw it away if it's not ripe enough. And because of this, groups of other animals follow spider monkeys, hoping that they will throw away some of that nice fruit that is good enough for other animals, but it's not good enough for spider monkeys. So here, we need to make sure that the fruit that we give them is nice and ripe, or else they won't eat it.
It's really fascinating to see an animal holding something and eating it like that. It's just such a rare thing. I mean, there's so few animals in the world that can do that like we can, so that was really neat. I don't know if we've ever had that on a broadcast before. I want to go to our Northport school and then Miss Majchrzak's class. So Northport, I haven't seen you guys. I didn't get the chance to intro at the beginning, but if you have a question, you can share it right now. Let's see, maybe, kind of, sort of. Maybe not. Northport School, if you guys want to share something, let me know in the chat bar and I'll come right back. Miss Majchrzak, if you want to come on in, just unmute your mic and you're good to go.
Sure. Hi. Thanks for having us. This is great so far. I have two questions, if that's okay. So one question, Sanaki wants to know if spider monkeys are pets or any of the other animals that they still have pets. And then wants to know why spider monkeys are called spider monkeys.
Yeah, so why are they called spider monkeys, Stephanie? And are spider monkeys or any of these other animals kept as pets, or should they be kept as pets?
Great question. So, they're called spider monkeys because they have those long arms, legs, and also a very long prehensile tail. They are dwellers of the canopy, meaning that they rarely come down. So when you see a spider monkey from afar, it basically looks like a spider moving in the canopy. That is why they're called spider monkeys. It might seem a bit odd, but it's not that they eat spiders. It's because of that visual effect that you see when you see a troop of spider monkeys moving high up in the canopy. And I'm sorry, what was the, should monkeys be kept as pets, right?
Yeah,
So that was the other
animals at the rescue ranch.
Yes. Okay. Guys, this is the most important part of this tour. The main message that we want to give people is that none of these animals should be kept as pets. Not even parrots, not even macaws, especially not animals like monkeys. These animals need a lot of space to move around. It's actually quite hard for me to keep one of these monkeys focused because usually they move nonstop. These animals are really important in the forest because of the role they play in the reforestation processes. They are not supposed to be in a cage. They are very miserable when they have to be tied or in enclosures. And guys, especially animals like monkeys can be super dangerous. They can even, believe it or not, they're so strong that they are even able to kill humans. Some species of monkeys, these monkeys are very, very strong and very aggressive. He actually just gave me a scare there, Samba. So guys, it is an extremely bad idea to have any wild animal as a pet because they play a fundamental role in the forest and they will never truly be domesticated. When we talk about animals, we don't talk about domestication in wild animals. We talk about imprinting, which means that basically they lose the ability to defend themselves and feed, and they get used to humans. But don't kid yourselves. Monkeys will never be domesticated, or any wild animal. They just lose the ability to survive in the wild, but they're not supposed to be anybody's pet.
I'm really, really glad we got that question. One of the big things we featured in a lot of Rescue Ranch broadcasts in the past is one way that you guys can help. You're unlikely to have spider monkeys or toucans as pets. But what you can do is if you travel somewhere and you see there's a toucan on someone's shoulder, don't have it put on your shoulder. Don't take pictures of that. Don't share selfies of things like that because it encourages the trade and the use of pets for some of these animals that really ought to be in the wild. So make sure if you're sharing pics of animals, if you're getting excited about wildlife, do it at a zoo, do it in an aquarium, do it at a place like the Toucan Rescue Ranch where the animals are really, really well cared for, and make sure that you're doing your part to prevent that sort of thing from happening. So a great, great message, guys. Stephanie, time flies and we're having fun. I want to take a couple more questions from our YouTube groups, and then I'll go back to just a few classes at random to wrap us up here. Miss Mustard's class, they're joining us in Tribune Drive Public School. It's one of our biggest public schools that have joined us all year long. Avreet wants to know, how many toucans in total do you have at the rescue ranch?
Great question. So right now, in this area of permanent residence, regarding the rainbow-billed toucans, we have 6 at the moment. We have 2 chestnut mandible, 3 colored arasaris, 2 fiery-billed arasaris. All of these enclosures that you're going to see have permanent residents. But besides these toucans, we have babies at the clinic. Right now we have a baby rainbow-billed toucan. He's one of those cases where these toucans got actually saved from a tree. They were just coming out of the eggs when the person who cut down the tree where they were living realized they were there, and they brought 2 babies. One of them didn't make it, but we're still fighting for the other one who's at the clinic.
We wish you very, very well. When you were listing off that, my mind went to like 3 French hens, 2 turtle doves, but I digress. Miss Cleland's class, Jaden in grade 3 wants to know, how long have you been working at the ranch? How long have you been there, Stephanie?
So I've actually been working here since beginning of February. I used to be a guide all over Costa Rica, but the pandemic hit really hard. But you know what? Some things happen for good reasons. I love it here. I'd rather be here than what I was doing before, so I'm just thrilled.
Well, we're thrilled to have you, and congrats on the fairly new job, and how exciting, and we look forward to more broadcasts. All right, at random, I'm going to pick Miss Hill's class, and then Mr. McCleary, you can wrap us up in a minute. But Miss Hill, come on in if you have one more question for us.
Okay, thank you. So I have, excuse me, Bibi and Helene are both wondering about the toucans, the rainbow toucans specifically, wondering if they can be aggressive, sorry. And also, are any of the animals here, sorry, 1 second.
I've always loved the bits where people mute their mics and the kids
They're talking to me. Okay, so sorry. They're wondering if any of the animals that you have, specifically toucans, are they endangered at all? And do you? Sorry,
ignore them for a second. Are the toucans endangered, and what else?
And can they be aggressive? Sorry.
Can they be aggressive? Thank you very much.
Okay. Those are great questions. Specifically, the species that we have here are not categorized in the UCN Red List as in danger of extinction, but they do have a degree of threat, and it depends on the species. So if we're talking about in the brink of extinction, not really. However, all of these animals are facing or going towards that path if things continue this way. If we continue to destroy their habitat, and if we continue to have people buy them as pets in the illegal trade market, they actually can get to be in danger of extinction. And regarding that question of whether toucans can be aggressive, the question is absolutely yes. Some people expect toucans to behave the way parrots behave. And guess what, guys? They don't behave like parrots. These animals are super smart, and as imprinted as some of these toucans are, for example, my friend Scooby over here is actually one of the most friendly toucans I've ever seen. And guess what? When I've been in there cleaning his enclosure, I thought he was friendly. He just wanted to bite me. So it's weird. They do sort of get used to humans, but they are very aggressive. They bite, and they have a serrated bill, so it's like a saw, and it really hurts. So again, main message: these animals are not supposed to be anybody's pet.
Right, and in the wild in general, always respect wildlife. If you respect most animals, they will leave you alone. They want nothing to do with people in most cases. So observe from afar, enjoy, and don't be afraid. That respect element's a really big part of it. So I'm glad we got that question. Mr. McCleary, wrap us up. Come on in for one final question. Pleasure too. It's pretty exciting. And thank you so much for ending off our broadcast.
Oh, great. My kids just said, do you ever deal with migratory animals? And if they want to visit Costa Rica, what's the best time of year to go?
Wonderful questions. guys, guess what? We do deal with migratory animals. We actually have a broad-winged hawk who actually was injured, and unfortunately, he wasn't able to go back to migrate with the rest because he didn't rehabilitate in time. Sometimes we get animals like hawks, sometimes different types of birds like orioles who do migrate. So we do have to deal with migratory birds. And the challenge there is that they need to be able to get back at the right time. So for example, in the case of that broad-winged hawk that we have here, we're going to need to wait till the next season when the rest of the migratory birds are migrating to let him go and have him go back to the north. And I'm sorry, what was the other question? What is the best time to come to Costa Rica?
Yeah, when should we visit? When we can.
Okay, guys. Well, that really depends on what you're looking for. I'm a biologist that loves the beauty of the tropical forest and rain, but if you want to avoid rain, I would say that you should come in the dry season. Dry season in Costa Rica goes from December to let's say May. At May, the rain basically starts. So at that time, you will find the least amount of rain in a lot of like the Pacific areas. So if you want to avoid rain and have sunshine all the time, you can come in that period. But guess what, guys? We're in the middle of rainy season. It's super sunny, clear skies. So who knows? You can come in other times and it would be okay.
I think it's one of the most beautiful places in the world, so no matter when you get there, it's great. I also want to say, I think if we'd gone like 20 more questions, I mean, he's proving my point right now. If we'd had 20 more questions, Mr. McCleary would just have a stuffy for all of them. Very exciting. We need like an otter one next time. We're going to have you on for more broadcasts. Guys, this has been so much fun. Stephanie, such a pleasure getting to chat, hang out, see so many great stories today. Our teacher network is huge for this penultimate broadcast, and I want to make sure everybody knows to go to toucanrescueranch.org. You want to learn much more about all these animals, how you guys can help, more about Costa Rica and the amazing work the ranch does. Check out that website. It's your one-stop shop. And again, a huge personal thank you to you. Thank you to the Toucan Rescue Ranch and to all our teachers that joined us all year long. It's been such a special time. So, Stephanie, is there a last message we want to leave classrooms on? If they finish this broadcast, what can they do to be inspired, take action, keep the learning going about all the work you guys are doing?
Okay, guys, first off, I would like to thank you for taking the time to do this because guess what, guys? We have absolutely no donations coming from the government or any organization whatsoever. So thanks to these tours, we're actually able to get funds to feed these animals, give them medicine, give them better shelter. So if you visit our website, you will see the different ways you have to donate and help if you want to do that. But there are many ways that you can also help in your houses, amongst your friends. One of the main things, guys, is to get that message out there that these animals are not supposed to be pets. And it has been normalized, and it's not a question of telling people, oh, you're a bad person because you have a parrot. No, it's not about that, guys. It's about changing the mindset of other people and maybe giving out some of that information and making people that maybe have a parrot or a toucan as a pet that you might know, for example, that they're actually contributing to the illegal pet trade market, which is really affecting these populations. And as Jesse said, guys, don't support any of those places where animals can be held, where you can take selfies. If you don't support that, you're already doing a very big, important mission. You're helping us out here, guys.
Stephanie, you're a rock star. We're so glad the Rescue Ranch has you. Thank you so much for that fantastic final message. And as what we do at the end of every broadcast, I'm going to bring in all our teacher friends to say a big thank you and farewell. So Mr. McCleary, Miss Hill, our Northport folks, and Miss Majchrzak, thank you so much, guys.